Spain has way more rock climbing than air to breathe. Louis and I are really lucky to know a fantastic couple that live there in Spain. Last year we visited them as part of our honeymoon/extended rock climbing trip, and they lived in France. Now they live in Spain, in the Catalunya area. Together they run a business called Raison d'Art, and it's a fantastic summer program. Culinary retreat, language immersion, art, climbing, yoga, and it's for adults and it's for kids. They do this all summer and then they climb with us in the winter. Elisa's a fantastic cook and Bruce is just a hilarious character. Together they are a wonderful family with their cat, Manny, Mr. Manfred. Then there is Stella Bella, who is just a sweetie pie. And then there's Nellie Belly, who's a little bit on the nervous side, but super cuddly as well. The last character in their family is Dashiell Grandy. He's kind of a bit of a food thief. He loves to steal food. That's his mission in life. After the first day of acclimating to this crazy 8-hour time change, we had to pack up our gear and head out for some climbing the next day. We started off in the Sardernes area. It's about 50 minutes from their home, and it follows the Escales River. A lot of people go out there to hike, and they go out there to camp, and it's a great outdoor place, kind of like a national forest for us back home. We started on the wall on the left. It's called Castel Espasa. It's all Spanish limestone that we've been climbing on this trip, and I learned very quickly that in one single route you can have almost every variety type of hold there is out there. It's fantastic climbing. This wall has a lot of great warm-ups in the mid-6 range, and it helped me acclimate. Then we started to work on some harder material. This is Calandra 7A+. I did it on lead first go. It's a really great route that starts fairly reasonably and then quickly moves to technical and just keep the pump at bay, keep moving. It's wonderful to look back behind you after you've sent it and see the gorgeous view of the river and the whole climbing area. I surprised myself at how strong my head was immediately on this trip. It's really a head game, and I felt really inspired that the rest of the trip was going to go great. Everyone was pretty happy. We went home, had some tapas, which are known as pinchos, and started off the next day at a different crag. We went out to Bellavista Crag, and it follows some windy roads up these hills, a little bit more rural than the last crag. We actually went to Bellavista Wall in that area, and the hike-in was pretty fantastic. I would say one of my favorites. It's short and steep, but every now and then, as you emerge from the bush and tree line, you get these fabulous views. When you actually get to the Bellavista Wall, you have the best view, period. There's this astounding overhung orange and yellow striped line wall behind you, and this whole view of the valley on the other side of you. I started on some warm-ups. I actually led first because I wanted to make sure that I placed my own gear. Then I went to climb Blues is Here, 7A. I did it first go. I had some great beta. You start on a ledge, and then you have this bulb that you sort of hang on to. It's marginally like an undercling. And then to your right, you have a side pole. It's a little slopey, so it really doesn't get usable until you get your feet pretty perched up high, which is what I needed anyway to get to the next move. So as I'm kind of laying sideways, I sort of have to pull myself through and aim for this mono, which fantastically I was able to fit 2 fingers in. And then you move right to a little crimp and then a semi-jog, and you pull yourself over to this slabby sequence before you hit the tufas. And the tufas are fantastic because you're doing all kinds of bendy body movie things so that you can get through that sequence onto a little bit of a slabby sequence, and there you hit the terrain that's a little bit more prickly and spiky, and then you're done and you've sent this gloriously amazing route. You look back and you have this fantastic view. Bruce and Louis hit up Bellavista 7C and worked on that for a bit, and then we headed out. It was a great second day of climbing. The third crag that we went to was back in the Sardernes area, but it was the wall on the right side called Cova del Bisbe. There's a fantastic river crossing to get to this wall. We all had to do some rock hopping, and it was a lot of fun. The base is not as friendly. The rock tree line sort of meet right at the beginning of this scoop section of the wall. There's some slabby stuff to the left that could be used as a warm-up, but we ultimately went to Yore, which is 7A+. And you look up and this wall starts with this slopey piece, this big scoop out. You kind of have to get yourself psyched up at the bottom because it pretty quickly moves from this scoop to vertical to overhung, and it just keeps you on your toes the whole way. This route had a surprise trick little ending for me. There was a right-hand little pinchy crimp and a left-hand little slopey crimp and feet high and a throw to the left. I wasn't really interested in the throw, so I down climbed, kind of got my head on straight, shook out a little bit. I didn't want to blow the red point because I rushed through it, so I took my time, regrouped, decided on my beta, and I actually found this small crimp flake for my right hand that I knew I could squeeze my little fingers behind. That actually got me up a little bit higher, and I realized that along the line of the huge jug at the end, there was a slopey sequence that I knew I could just kind of skirt across. That way I didn't have to do the big throw at the end. Working that beta and setting my head straight was a really fantastic way to prove to myself that it's a big mental game. And I led, which are fairly difficult climbs for me. I didn't want to ask what grades were. I just wanted to climb, and I didn't want to have to look back at my last blog about missed opportunities and know that I made any more. I was really proud when Louis sent it right after me, and we all headed out with huge smiles on our face. Rest days are super important. I did some running. We went to the Mediterranean Sea with the dogs and let them run around. And then we went to the medieval city of Pauls on one of our days off. It dates back to the 4th century, and it's guarded by these 4 towers that were used for defense. You've got buildings standing today that are thousands of years old. It's one of the fantastic things about traveling in Europe itself. The second half of the trip, we left their home near Girona, and we stayed in a hostel just outside of the Lleida region. Trump is at the epicenter of a crag explosion. So in the next entry, you're going to see all of the climbing areas that we visited. Thanks, and until then, stay adventurous.